And it's Microfighter Monday. Thank you so much for watching. This is Journal of the Scots. Today's topic for Microfighter Monday is brick-built creatures of Star Wars within the Microfighter line. This is kind of like a new thing in the last few years. And in all of them, so the Tauntaun, Bantha, and Dewback are all in dual pack sets. So the original one was the Escape Pod versus Dewback Microfighter, with probably one of the best non-named character minifigures in any of the Microfighter lines. So just a super high demand set. And then, of course, not too far, just recently discontinued. I think it's discontinued, or maybe it isn't. I don't know. Is the brick built Bantha. And then the most recent, still on the market, is the Tauntaun. And the Bantha was opposed with the T16 Skyhopper, and then this, of course, with the AT-AT, which, so this from a dual pack perspective, the Dewback made the most sense, right? So from a playability perspective, in this Dewback, it isn't bad. It's not like fantastic. I don't think this is like amazing, but it does look decent. It does the job. I think the designers did what they could, and it's really not bad. And of course, this minifigure being so fantastic really is the selling point of the set. But I think beyond that, this came with the R2-D2 C-3PO and the full escape pod. So in theory, the kids could then play out the Dewback and have a couple stormtroopers on the side and kind of searching for C-3PO and R2-D2 like in the movies. So that, to me, that was kind of a slam dunk from a dual pack, kind of like a dueling, one versus the other kind of thing, because it was very real. So you could actually, it's very useful. It's part of the movie. Now, moving on to the Bantha itself, T16 versus the Bantha. I don't know. The T16s were famous for fighting wampas and kind of, crop dusting and stuff like that. And, they were kind of a little bit of a fighter pilot, thing, but you don't really see them fighting Banthas. So it's kind of like, okay, it's a maybe. It's a great dual pack because you get a great pilot, you get a great ship build, and I think, in my opinion, out of the brick built, this looks the part and is fantastic. I think there will be a few people that will want, a couple of these, because again, Banthas, of course, travel in packs, and we'll want to get a couple of these. I actually think that it was kind of a miss that it wasn't a dual pack, because I feel like if it was a single and there was a deal, I'd probably get like 4 or 5 of these, no problem, because army building with this character, with the Tusken Raider, would be fantastic. And then, of course, then I would have an army of Banthas for them to travel around on. So it makes total sense. Again, it's the play value. Can it contribute to mocks? Does it really make sense? This is just a great one. Plus, these fantastic brown pieces. It's got both brown, dark brown, and in the nougat colors, which are all just really good. I really nothing to complain about that particular. A lot of uncommon parts. You hear even the dark tan, just fantastic. Then it kind of gets down to this Tauntaun, which is a Tauntaun gonna fight an AT-AT? No. It's not even the right scene. So if you were to do like a Microfighter version, which it would be interesting because they just did the display ability like the probe droid. If they would have done a probe droid Microfighter versus the Tauntaun, that would make a lot of sense. You could actually have the Tauntaun, maybe get the pieces and build another one, put Han Solo in there, and Han Solo and Luke Skywalker could go search for probe droids. That makes a ton of sense. Why not try that? But then they throw in the third AT-AT into another set. So to me, that makes no sense. The other piece too is that, is anybody going to really use this particular Tauntaun for really anything? It's kind of squatty and stumpy. I mean, I guess the Bantha technically would be a lot bigger. But the Tauntaun, it looks cute. It's not a bad. I can't complain from a design standpoint, but from certain angles, it really just doesn't look good. And at the end of the day, the only real reason to buy this is for Luke Skywalker in a pretty cool Hoth outfit. But other than that, I'm just not sure. So I really do wonder what the future of Microfighter is, what the future of Microfighter with brick-built creatures is. I'm sure they've probably thought it through and have probably tinkered around on a couple. The only one I can think of that I'd really like to see off the top of my head is to get a blurg, so you could basically do like a fatter version of this dewback, and then put Queel on it from Mandalorian. I think that would be a great way to get a super high demand character in a creature built. And in that case, you could actually then do it versus like a scout trooper with some sort of a scout bike, and I think it would be like the hottest thing ever. And that would make sense because they were chasing him down as they were kind of headed towards the Razor Crest, which, by the way, there's rumors that the Razor Crest is coming up, so that would make total sense. You could get the Razor Crest, you could get Queel on a blurg, you could get the Scout Trooper with a speeder bike Microfighter in a dual pack. Boom, you could actually play out the entire scene. Imagine that. And I think it would sell well because they're all very high demand characters. So there's a lot going on. I think the creatures are interesting. I don't love them. I think Microfighters are what they are. They are really it's best for ships. And there's so many vessels out there, starships. There's so many just different things that we can do. We've only received like one Star Destroyer. Why not a couple other capital ships? There's so many things. And I know there's a lot of designers out there in the Microfighter world that are just making fantastic builds where Lego hasn't even touched on that subject. And again, it's a really a big miss. If it's a big deal and they really need to make sure that they're profitable, I don't mind them doing the dual packs where it's the verses, but in the case of the Tauntaun, I think it was probably a huge miss, and hopefully it doesn't skew the results because, frankly, they don't fight each other, so I have no idea why it was in a dual pack. I think that was just a strategic error on Lego's part, trying to kind of like throw two sets together. It's really hard to say what they were thinking on that particular one. If anything, they probably should have thrown like maybe their second version of the Snowspeeder versus the AT-AT, and then saved the Tauntaun for just a single one. Although, would this Tauntaun sell by itself? I don't know if kids would or not. I mean, kids are starting to gravitate towards Mandalorian, Clone Wars, all those types of things. The original trilogy is kind of starting to fade into the background. So those are my thoughts. I kind of dropped a lot of stuff all in one quick few minutes, but that's what I feel on the creatures. I'm really hoping that Lego really limits the amount of creatures, and then when they do make Microfighters with creatures in it, that it really makes sense especially if they're going to do a versus dual pack. Make it make sense. This one 100% made sense. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, like Bantha's fighting T-16 Skyhoppers. I've never seen that in canon anywhere. And then, of course, do Tauntauns fight AT-ATs? Never seen it. So I hope that they can kind of move back, strategically think through what they're trying to accomplish with these Microfighters and some of the verses, and maybe resurrect it where it makes sense. So I hope. Let me know. Do you agree with that? What type of creature built? Maybe I'm missing a couple creatures. Although I will say, like a Krat Dragon would be amazing too. Actually, that versus, see, here we go. They could do another Bantha, and then do a Krat Dragon as a versus Microfighter. How fantastic would that be? They could put the Marshal in there, so you get that character, and then you could get another Tusken Raider. Like, how cool is this? So come on, Lego, you can do better. Put on your thinking cap, create something cool, and hopefully they get it done. So thank you so much for joining this episode number 42 of Microfighter Monday. We will catch you next Monday, and of course, like, subscribe, and do your thing. Later.